if you're going to your headquarters, just leave your pad inside the basket, okay? We're not going to take a look at it, and nobody's going to bother with it. Who else needs a pad? Okay, everybody got a writing utensil? Pen or pen or pencil?
Like, share, and comment as y'all come in. This is day one of the trial. He's giving out instructions to the jurors. Everybody locked and loaded.
You know, by the time the trial ends, if you need another pad, we'll give you another one. Okay? So, but leave them in your headquarters when you have breaks and go outside and for the end of the day. Just put them in there. Take another juror sticker out, and that'll be kind of your way to kind of just trade and make sure don't take them home with you. Then the next morning you can find your pad and you can kind of just be prepared to take notes. Okay, so I'm going to tell you that again. Just leave your pads as you have breaks and everything else in your headquarters. And at the end of the day, like I said before, we'll secure your notes. That'll probably be Miss Umana's job, and we'll just leave them in the basket, and we put the basket in your location.
Sacramento.
And then we bring the basket back down, so you all, when you come back tomorrow morning, or whatever morning you come back.
Good morning, Mike.
Have your notepad, all right? Now, but please.
Day one of the trial.
All right? You may take notes if you wish. If you do take notes, please do not let your note-taking distract you from paying full attention to all the evidence and witnesses. You may not share or discuss your notes with anyone until you start deliberating at the end of the case.
I didn't know jurors was allowed to take notes in the box. That's new to me. I never seen that with my own eyes. I've been in a couple jury trials too, actually.
Of what the evidence may have been. You may consider another juror's notes to refresh your memory. You should only rely on
and they can trade notes. That's crazy.
Do not be influenced by the notes of other jurors unless their notes help you in determining.
How could you not be influenced by somebody else's thoughts?
You must leave your notes in the jury room, except
Abdul Malik. You heard of that before?
They'll be collected by the court and destroyed at the end after you finish.
They can share notes. That's crazy.
Ladies and gentlemen, you will not get a transcript of any witness testimony. So please remember what they said on the witness stand in a way that works best for you. Okay? I'm gonna tell you a couple other administrative, or as I call,
West Philly.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've tried a lot of jury cases, so some of the things I'm gonna say to you are the result of debriefing a lot of other citizens. One of the questions I get on a routine basis is, Judge,
y'all share this live stream. We're gonna watch a little bit of it together.
All right? So I'm going to demystify that, and I'm going to tell you right now, so there won't be any question about what I'm doing. Okay? All right. So as I told you earlier, I'm responsible for just about everything that goes on in this courtroom. So on the bench here, I do have a phone, and I make certain phone calls I need to. These devices here.
He said, "What channel this on, Gully?"
Us use them from time to time.
It's on Gully TV, Jack.
Each pair of litigants has on their table to allow them to hear bench conferences, because I may have to take up things out.
Oh my goodness! I ain't never seen a judge with an earring, y'all. Diamond earring. Oh shit! I ain't never seen a judge with an earring. Shit is changing. You can't tell me that he don't listen to their music when he off that bench.
But these devices allow us to do that. So if you see people,
oh man, you can't tell me that he don't listen to their music when he's off the bench. You can't tell me that he's not in tune with what's going on off the bench. You can't tell me that he's not following this shit. He's not watching videos. Like, this is crazy.
During the trial. And
you say that's ATL for you.
Otherwise, I'm taking notes. So if you see me typing, don't assume I'm booking my next vacation. I could probably be doing that, but
this nigga earrings bigger than mine.
I'm not. I do take notes and I do, pay attention to what's going on. I of course.
He said it's different now. He ain't that old.
Comfortability, and I monitor everything.
I wonder how much. I wonder how old the judge is.
Up here on the bench.
He of the hip hop generation for sure.
One other thing that you might hear behind me is this bell that starts jingling. All right, and if you hear a jingling sound like a
they
bell,
said he put on the big joint for the trial. He was rocking a little one.
Up here, all right.
He said he about 55. Hip hop generation like a motherfucker.
You've seen him already. He lives the best life ever. He's pampered. He's really, and he is a Labrador.
Once upon a time, the earring was a sign, but you wanted to pick up on shit like that from your jurors and shit like that. Like if you seen a juror that had an earring in his ear, you might wanted to pick him. You know what I'm saying? That's the type shit judges used to tell you. Like you get an all-white jury and shit, they be telling you look at shit like that: tattoos, earrings, hair color. You know what I mean? Maybe a black chick did her hair. Just the type shit that they be rolling the dice on in court. Oh my God, I'm so glad I ain't in that life no more.
So, but that's if you hear the bell, that's Jack. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we're ready for the lawyers to begin their opening statements, and what we'll do is we'll probably go till probably about 12:15 or so, and then whatever we don't get done, we'll just continue on at that point in time.
You heard him. Going to 12, y'all.
Okay? So at this point in time, counsels, I'm going to invoke the rule of sequestration.
Nah, he only got one pierce. He old school. Before the early 90s, they used to say that you was a blade if you had your earring pierced on the right side and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of older dudes, they was on that time and shit. Like it got that shit got broken around, Fabulous, Cameron, like when niggas started just putting boogers, Jay-Z, niggas started putting boogers in both sides of their ear and shit, it changed. But he had that older generation.
That person, if they're gonna. But other than that, I think we've covered everybody else. Unless there's an exemption. Do you have an exemption to the sequestration?
Your Honor, the family members of the victims themselves were the only ones that are concerned.
I'm not. There's no.
Good morning, everybody.
Sequestration as it applies to
this
them.
is day one of the YSL trial.
Excuse me, Judge.
He said 2 earrings are sus, though. LL Cool J was the first rapper I seen with 2 earrings.
I'll reserve those. Okay? All right.
I just make sure that all the witnesses are excused. Because I think there's been mixed messages sent by the attorneys, not by the court.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Your Honor, may I please approach the bench?
Say again?
May I please approach with the state?
Yes, Ms. D. Williams.
He said signs and symbols are in full effect. The earring judge.
For those of you that wish to listen in,
If I pay for a pair, I'm wearing a pair. I heard that. I was wearing 2 when I was 15. Brooklyn. He said the right side meant GD in Chicago. How long you think this trial gonna last? It took an exceptionally long time to get the jury together, man. I listened to this shit yesterday. This trial is so corrupted, man. I'm gonna tell you why it's corrupted. These niggas' parents and shit like that, relatives and shit like that, been getting caught bringing drugs to the fucking courthouse. Motherfuckers done got caught with pistols. Just so much contraband involved with the shit, man. Like, this, it stinks. It stinks. It smells of drug activity, corruption, and lawlessness and shit. So it gonna go one of 2 ways. It could be a mistrial because a lot of fuckery went down, or they gonna book the shit out of these niggas, the ones that went to trial. Oh, by the way, I can't remember how many co-defendants it was, but it's only like 6 of them left. Everybody else pled guilty.
45 minutes, an hour ago.
He said, meanwhile, Gunna whipping a foreign to Lennox. He said, this is like a movie. Go Thug. He says, so what that mean? The ones who pled guilty told? The ones who pled guilty accepted their role in this shit. I'm pretty sure they admitted that it was a gang. That's what everybody was saying about Gunna. He one of the guys. They probably have to go through a proffer and admit their guilt and involvement with this. All of that saying it's not a gang, that's over with. They proven that shit with that nose wiping shit, man. That nose wiping shit. And they rapped about wiping a nigga nose and shit like that. Like, they did a lot of shit to show people that there was a gang. That like it's a lot of cohesion that's been proved already. He said he looked fat now. He gonna get bigger than that. That's the hot seat, y'all. That's a bad place to be, man. I've been in that seat twice. I'm 1-1. 1-1 lost one. That's a bad seat to be in, yo. I'm telling you. Jay-Z rapped about, he said, the streets will take a young nigga and give him an old face. This is the old face process right here.
No, they should have just. Everybody gets at least one.
He should big hot seat.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
On camera, should they?
This is probably the most vulnerable a man can be while still breathing. I don't think he's going to win, but I think he can fight him enough to get a good play. The judge is 61. That's hip-hop generation. The judge grew up listening to hip-hop. Trust me. The power of the tongue. Thug spoke this day into existence. He told him on take it to trial. If you listen to his, when he got questioned by the police and shit, this was in 2015, by the way, after the Lil Wayne situation, you heard one of the detectives questioning him, telling him, I listen to you, I listen to y'all, I listen to your music. I'm from ATL. It was already widely known YSL was a gang, whether they admitted it or not. I also live off of Cleveland area.
Your Honor, we just need to reapproach again, Your Honor, briefly. Given that we just learned about this.
I'm going to exclude it for the time being, okay? Let's just move on. I'll take it up at another time. We're not going to take it up right now.
Once you get in that seat that he's sitting in, you be ready to go. You be ready to get it on, man.
Yeah, we could have taken that thing up.
I remember being in that seat, man, ready to get it on and shit. Let's get it on. He got the worst type of anxiety right now, sitting waiting for this shit to happen. It's like torture. Words are powerful. Judge ruled his lyrics can be used against him. Sean Harris grabbed the lifesaver knittage, more to collect. Good morning, everybody. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell. They been using lyrics against rappers. Remember Mac from No Limit. I don't feel sorry for him. Made your bed, lay in it. He said, stomach and knots. I've been in that seat. Jacksonville, good morning. The judge said they're going to boogie until 12:15. I didn't think this was going to happen. Growing up watching hip-hop, you didn't have this type of access. You didn't. Like when Tupac, imagine if they had this shit when Tupac was going to trial and shit. For the shits that, you know, Tupac and Haitian Jack court case. Crazy. Cool C and Steady B. Bank robbery case. Crazy. I hate going to traffic court. Child support court just as severe. It's not, you know, you can still go to jail, but you're not going to be there long. But child support, the same shit. It's a pain in the fucking ass. Not going to get no fucking proper justice. They go manhandle you there like you a criminal, like you broke the law. That's the worst part of child support. They treat you like they treating Young Thug right now. Pull all your business out, open it out, open up a file with all your business in it, tell you what you making, addresses, what they assume you got, assets and shit like that. Like, man, did this motherfucker just open up a motherfucking case on me? That's a motherfucking case. This shit that y'all doing right now, this is a motherfucking case. Talking about civil.
Can we save this point in time? Please go ahead. All right.
I'm gonna now share my screen reports for me.
Yes, ma'am.
Bitches don't understand. That's what's perverted about the child support shit. They be treating a motherfucker like they broke the law and shit.
Now, this is the law of the jungle, as old and as true as the sky. And the wolf that shall keep it may prosper, but the wolf that shall break it must die.
Ooh.
As the creeper that girdles the tree trunk, the law runneth forward and back. For the strength of the pack is the wolf.
Ooh.
And the strength of the wolf is the pack.
Ooh.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for being patient. Thank you so much for being honest during this very lengthy process that preceded this point here today, during the voir dire process. I appreciate you all being here, exercising your civic duty, and honoring your obligation to pay close attention to what's going on in this courtroom for the next several, however many weeks. Some people like to say that opening statements are a roadmap to what the trial will show. Instead, I'm going to give you an overview, a bird's eye view, because you're going to be sitting here with the evidence for the next.
He said the wolf was an aggressive comparison.
And you will be able to see what that evidence is. Nothing that I say to you during this part of the trial, and nothing any other attorney says to you during this part of the trial is evidence. But I can tell you what I expect the evidence to show.
This is the situation T.I.'s son wants to be in.
Is that YSL, the group made up of the defendants sitting before you today, along with other both indicted and unindicted co-conspirators, YSL operated as a pack. The quote that I read to you earlier is from one of my favorite books as a kid, The Jungle Book. In case anybody recognized it, those were Rudyard Kipling's words and not mine. But they are appropriate for where we are today. For 10 years and counting, the group calling itself Young Slime Life dominated the Cleveland Avenue community of Fulton County. They created a crater in the middle of Fulton County's Cleveland Avenue community that sucked in the youth, the innocence, and even the lives of some of its youngest members. Now, the evidence is going to show that this group started out as a group called Rock Crew. And Rock Crew stands for Raised on Cleveland. The evidence is going to show you that Rock Crew, in fact, is a criminal street gang. It's not the kind y'all are used to. If you're more familiar with the national gangs, such as the Bloods and the Crips that operate in LA or in Chicago. But make no mistake about it, Rock Crew is and was a gang. It consisted of 3 or more members with common identifiers, signs, colors, linguistic choices that committed crimes on behalf of and in furtherance of Rock Crew itself. That particular organization aligned itself under an umbrella of a larger, more traditional street gang called Sex, Money, Murder, Bloods. They adopted the nomenclature. They would do things like replace C's in words with the letter B, because traditionally Crips and Bloods were not aligned with one another. So Cleveland Avenue became Cleveland. Some of you may have indicated during voir dire you've heard or are familiar with the Cleveland Avenue area. Maybe you've even heard of Cleveland Avenue Day. The evidence will show that this is where that comes from. The evidence will also show that sometime in 2012,
should we be rooting for the state of YSL?
an internal rift for divide
I'm just watching.
among the members of Rock Crew. Now, the defendant Jeffrey Williams, seated back there yawning right now,
I tell you what I'm rooting for.
he was an original member of Rock.
All cross-examinations.
And the kind of crimes that
I'm here for cross-examinations.
consisted of
I want to see his lawyer do his thing. That I want to see. I want to see anybody that get up there to try to hurt him or them. I want to see
when Rock Crew
his lawyer
stood up,
do surgery to their ass. That's what I
YSL,
came to
Young
see.
Slime Life, was formed. And the defendant, Jeffrey Williams, was its proclaimed leader.
Whoa, leader.
Young Slime Life came about and consisted of 3 or more people when it began. 3 or more people who were willing to and who did commit criminal street gang activity, that is crimes, that were intended to further the purposes and advance the directives of YSL itself. Now, there will be no evidence
He
of
said,
a written contract or anything like that. You won't see
Bross
YSL
examination gonna be Breezy.
because this was a group of people associated in fact
That was so,
who used common
that was so,
identifiers,
oh
common
man,
names, common colors,
obnoxious.
common symbols to communicate with one another
Organized Brime.
and to express themselves to the rest of the world. So YSL, as the evidence will show, they didn't move individually.
That was crazy.
The members and associates of YSL, they moved like a pack, with the defendant Jeffrey Williams as its head. You'll hear from witnesses, both law enforcement and lay witnesses, who personally experienced and who personally witnessed the activities, the crimes that were committed. You will hear from law enforcement officers like Kimberly Underwood and Tyrone Dennis, whose main goal wasn't to go out in the streets and lock up people who looked like them. It was actually to touch souls in the streets, to touch young people, and to alert them of the dangers and the drawbacks of becoming a part of and becoming involved in gangs like YSL and Rock Crew. You'll hear about conversations with educators. You'll hear from members and associates of the gang itself. Now, as to how those members and associates will respond or act once they're actually in court and on the stand, that's something that I am truthfully not able to predict to you fully. But the court has given you instructions on determining and judging the credibility of the witnesses. And I trust that all of you will in fact follow those instructions. The evidence will show that YSL checks all of the boxes for being a criminal street gang.
Oh shit.
As I stated earlier, they are 3 or more people associated in fact. Their members commit crimes on behalf of the gang. They commit crimes such as armed robbery, hijacking, motor vehicle theft, theft by receiving, stolen firearms, so many stolen firearms, possession of a machine gun, and narcotic sales. And last but certainly not least, murder. What you will not hear any evidence of is that the defendants were not involved in a criminal street gang. You will not hear any evidence that they did not commit crimes on behalf of YSL. And as I stated to you earlier, what I'm saying to you now is
Let me object to that statement, please, as burden shifting.
Object basis?
Burden shifting. And under Parker versus the state at 277,
Why don't we take that up then?
39.
I'll note your objection. I'm sustaining the objection. Why don't you rephrase, madam?
yes, Your Honor.
Just rephrase it.
He got a co-defendant sitting at the table with him. I wonder who that
I'm going
was.
to explain to you at the appropriate time, ladies and gentlemen, what the burden is in this case. Remember what I told you earlier, that the burden never shifts to the defendants to prove or certain innocence or presumed innocent, and it's only until you hear evidence that you decide is sufficient, and I'll instruct you on how you're supposed to do that at a later point in time. Okay? All right.
The evidence will show that YSL did not adhere and does not adhere to all of the customs of a traditional street gang. And the fact that YSL does not mirror all the customs of a criminal street gang the evidence will show makes it no less a criminal street gang. The defendants on trial here today have, through their actions, displayed not only their allegiance, their alliance with one another and with the gang itself. Through their actions, they have displayed an unspoken agreement to participate in that gang through a pattern of illegal activities. And again, the head of this gang is seated in this courtroom too. The last paragraph of that poem that I read, that spoke to you earlier, goes as follows. Because of his age and his cunning, because of his right.
This is argument. This is not.
What's your objection, Mr. Harvey?
That it's argument.
Okay, Mr. Harvey, hold on. Madam, it is argument at this point in time, so I'll sustain the objection, okay?
Yes, sure. All right. The evidence will show that these defendants, that the members and associates of YSL, they knew who their leader was, and they knew the repercussions of not obeying their leader. You will hear evidence that when members and associates of YSL got in trouble, got locked up, the first person they called was either this defendant or one of his family members. Now, they didn't call him directly because he knew and they knew that he needed to have distance between himself and the crimes members and associates of YSL were committing on behalf of the gang. So they would reach out to his sister and have his sister reach out to somebody else and eventually get back to King Slime, as they called him.
Oh, shit.
You will hear evidence that members of YSL committed armed robberies. You'll hear evidence that to slime someone is to do them dirty, and that sometimes members of YSL committed crimes against other family members of their fellow gang members.
Damn.
You'll hear evidence that when one of the associates or members of YSL
How the fuck that work out?
did something to what Jeffrey Williams had perhaps considered a friend, they were threatened with their very life. Tell them to get that stuff back or they will be killed. You will hear evidence that YSL, they had opposition within the city of Atlanta and Fulton County. That there were other gangs that were at various points in time at odds and even at war with YSL. One of those gangs was known as the IF gang, IF, Inglewood Family. You will hear experts come in here and tell you more about how the Inglewood family bloods in any way made its way down to Fulton County. You will also hear evidence about how one of the members, one of the beloved, of whom YSL considered an opposition group, was gunned down. Donovan Thomas on January the 1st, 2015. January the 10th, my apologies. 2015. Gunned down. Openly and notoriously. Because the evidence will show that part of the reasons that criminal street gangs operate the way that they do is to establish
Some people seem to
jobs
think that
and to
the prosecutor Fannie Mae was involved with that. Some people seem to think that it was credibility to that.
This gang stole at least 3 lives from this community. over the last 10 years. At least 3 that are referenced in this indictment. You'll find that as a result of this gang's activities, a young woman who had nothing to do with either YSL or any of their opposition was gunned down by people trying to get back at YSL for what they did.
Oh, shit.
You'll hear evidence that after the murder of Donovan Thomas, no less than 50 shootings occurred over the course of the next several months. You'll hear evidence that hundreds of bullets were fired into cars, into homes, and into people as a result of the rift Young's limelight had with other people in the community. So what are they accused of, and what are you here for today? The judge read the 4-hour-long indictment to you 12 months ago. He didn't read it to you again today, but he generally gave you what each defendant is being charged with and what the state has the burden of proving beyond a reasonable doubt as it relates to each defendant. But just to broadly touch on those, the crimes that the state will be proving to you over the next several weeks include conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act. That is an absolute mouthful. So we'll just say RICO.
Shit.
There's no substantive allegation of RICO violations here. And by that I mean there's a difference. Here the state is alleging that these defendants, they had an agreement. Unspoken.
Like the video as y'all come in.
An agreement to obtain.
Even though Young Thug was a cross-dresser, he was vicious.
Cell phones, cars, stolen guns through a pattern of illegal activity. The evidence will show that it's sort of like if 2 people said, okay, you know what, we're going to go toilet paper our dean of admissions house. And they sat there thinking and talking about it, and someone overheard them and reported them to the police. And the police came and said, okay, I'm going to arrest you all for conspiracy, for planning to go and do this. The evidence will show that it's not enough that they were planning to do it. Somebody has to do at least one thing in order for those 2 people to be found guilty.
Is it me, or has Wayne popped out heavy since Thug caught this case? He has been active after they've been gone. That's true.
That's what we have here, and that's what the evidence is going to show. There was an agreement among the members of YSL.
I was around Thug and what's this other dude? Schoolie. I was around them on the same night at a listening party. He was gutter. He was by himself. He had on a lot of jewelry. It was just like 3 of them. So he was comfortable being by himself. I know that. He wasn't no feminine type motherfucker, nothing like that.
Up through and even into 2023. After this case was indicted, as the evidence will show. But their actions are what the state will be looking
That's a black woman.
To evaluate and determine. Does this action show that they're agreeing to participate in this organization, this enterprise, through racketeering activity?
He said Schoolie a Crip. He was with him. I got them niggas on camera together. I still got the footage. It's on my IG.
Trap houses, drug houses, whole houses out of which drug sales were conducted, where they held long-arm guns by the door. or they stood ready to act on command if either one of their number called.
So niggas screaming free thug while they banging Gunna music.
For you today is Rodelius Ryan, Fomarius Nichols, Marquavius Huey, Jeffrey Williams, Shannon Stillwell, Diamante Kendrick, and their actions during the dates.
6 people. I counted 6 people.
Are what we are asking that you pay close attention to.
That's all that's left. Everybody else pled guilty.
You have an objection?
Yes, sir.
Basis. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of our breaks. I'm going to need to probably ask you to retire to your headquarters at your deliberation room, and we'll call you back in just a minute, okay, when we finish up our business, all right? Remember the court's admonitions, ladies and gentlemen.
He said they going to 12:15. So I don't know how long this break gonna be. If you play music by Ghana, you playing Tekashi 6ix9ine too.
All right, please be seated. Our jury has left us.
He said, what that tell you? The whole YSL rats, but 6.
All right, Mr. Steele, what's your motion, sir?
Good morning again, Your Honor. Your Honor, last week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, you ordered the parties to share all of their displays. An opening statement to the
I
others.
did not
So we don't have to
believe
have
Young Thug
interruptions.
was like
I did
that, and I moved here in 2015. Same week I moved here, I was in Lenox Mall. Young Thug himself chased 2 niggas out the mall.
That's what I got. What you just saw on your screen, if you don't remember, I'll ask the state to put it up, and I asked for it to be marked as exhibit, is what you already excluded. It states that Mr. Ryan was convicted of murder, and I represent the co-defendant who's not on trial on the appeal. How did that not get sent to me so I could bring it to this honorable court's attention?
Ooh.
1. And 2, how do we just violate court orders? So, yes, I have a serious motion for a mistrial because it's intentional misconduct.
Mistrial.
Right?
That's the
And I'd like
motion.
the screenshot to be captured for Mr. Weaver to put in the record.
I'll admit it is next court exhibit.
Asked for a mistrial from the door.
All right, so that'll be court 1 for purposes of the trial.
Ooh.
So, Miss,
Ooh.
what's yours?
Came
what's your
out
response?
swinging.
Mr. Steele's assertion about Mr. Ryan.
As it relates to
I was at the
Mr.
mall right there that day when it
Ryan and
happened.
the exhibits that the state intended to play and to display for the jury, I sent to Mr. Steele and everyone else the pictures and the photographs that I expected to use. As it relates to the slide to which Mr. Steele is now referring regarding his representation on appeal, I'm not certain if the objection goes to the fact that there was the conviction, because that's part of the indictment and that's part of the evidence that the state expects will show, or if it's as to his objection about the fact that he represents Mr. Ryan or Mr. Blaylock on appeal.
The judge stays shutting him down.
Mr. Blaylock, man.
He said mistrial, then the feds pick it up.
So what's your objection based upon Mr. Steele?
Objection based upon I argued this before the honorable court. You argued the prosecution that before they ever mentioned my name, you granted this motion.
I did.
I wanted to.
everyone said shady no. And now it goes against the court's order. We are bound, duty bound to follow some of the court's order.
Going to join in the objection on behalf of Mr. Steele.
Let me see the.
I can put it back up,
Yes,
Judge.
ma'am.
And Your Honor, while I am putting that back up, I will state in my place that initially when there was the objection from Mr. Steele, I didn't have a clue what it was about because I didn't mention his name and didn't intend to mention his name. As I looked at the screen, I saw that part of his name was on the screen for the most part.
But I mentioned that. I ruled upon that last week. I did. That we were not. I would take it as it came in this case.
Young Thug got himself in these situations being on the phone.
Deal with it accordingly.
Yes, Your Honor.
So,
It's all theatrical.
And Your Honor, as to Mr. Steele's motion, as I'm pulling this up, the state would vehemently object to a mistrial and ask for a curative instruction and a reminder to the court, to the jury, that nothing that the lawyers say is evidence in this case. This is not at all the type of thing that rises to the level of mandating a mistrial. Certainly not. It just isn't. I have
all right.
the slide.
Well, now
I have it now. I'm
court
about to share
action. Court won for purposes of the motion for mistrial.
Somebody fucked up. Damn. Conspiracy to violate RICO, murder.
All right.
Damn, one of these niggas was 15 back then.
Okay, on slide 11 of 65, that I see where you have that at the bottom, represented by Brian Steele. So we can leave that for the time being. Leave it for the time being because it is what was it was up. I'm going to deny the motion for mistrial, Mr. Steele, but I will go ahead and give a curative instruction to our jurors at this point in time.
Denied.
Your Honor, I'm not supposed to ask for a reoccurring report for my mistrial before the next process goes on. I'd like you to do me a courtesy, if you would, and allow me to do that now and preserve the motion for mistrial.
You've made your motion for mistrial and the basis, and I'm going to mark the whole state's presentation as is as court one for the purpose of your motion, and it will go in as stated.
And I have two other issues I'd like the court to just take on. One is just remember, I know you rule on it, but the state said earlier today that Mr. Williams is contacting through parties that they don't know to pay for other people's lawyers. So I think that couples with that exhibit. And number two, I'd like the court to now order prosecution to give me and anyone else who wants to see it. I need to see respectfully what you ordered last week, all of the displays of the state of Georgia that they have not given to us. So
what do you mean by what displays are you talking about, Mr. Steele?
I never saw that. I never saw the wolf. I never saw the indictment. You ordered all of it. I gave all my displays. I gave everything to say. I got from the state.
What are you talking about using for opening statements, sir?
Of course.
Okay.
Should have been done.
All right. All right, Ms. Love.
Yeah. Thank you, Your Honor. Two matters, Your Honor. One, the first thing that Mr. Steele has requested of the court regarding the representation that the state made about other YSL members contacting Jeffrey Williams for representation is absolutely and has always been a part of what the state expects will show it.
I'm going to deny that portion. But to Mr. Steele's point, I'd already made that issue in terms of his particular involvement and anything you need to.
The cost of thugging, the name Young Thug hit different now.
And also subject to foundation.
I love that, man.
Just
This
like
trial hurts.
I assume that what you told our jurors is what you expect the evidence to show. Yes?
Yes,
All right, so
definitely.
I'm gonna overrule that part of his objection. What about the last thing you mentioned?
And Your Honor, as to the court's directive that we turn over anything or any exhibits or photographs, that was my understanding of the court's directive, that we expect to show an opening statement. As a matter of course, I can again reiterate the fact that it was an inadvertent omission to leave Mr. Steele, at least part of his name, on
I got
here.
that, but he's talking about, is there anything else you're going to use in open you haven't shown to defense counsel? He's telling us, well, I said that. I told you to do that a week ago. Because here's what I told you was going to happen. I've got a jury that's out right now that's being interrupted. And Ms. D. Williams, you should have made your motion or should have told me about that an hour ago or when you found out about it. Not hijack me at the bench about that. You did what you had to do, but I'm not happy about that. I'm not happy about any of this. Because this is stuff we can take care of before our jury comes in. And that makes you all, lessen your ability as advocates and lessen our ability for this jury to go ahead and get this case seamlessly. This is what I told you all was going to happen. So, have you given them everything you're going to show them during opening statement?
Your Honor, I haven't given them all of the word slides. I did give to them what Mr. Williams objected to. I had given that to them previously. I will give them or share with them the things that have been added as of this evening. And
can you do that over the next 5 minutes?
I sure can.
Ingram, can you find out if our jurors are ready? Are they ready? Are they still using the restroom?
I will send that to them right now as we're waiting.
Your Honor, we have a few.
Your Honor, Jay Apt on behalf of Mr. Kendrick, can we have 5 or 10 minutes to review whatever Ms. Love is going to send us?
You can take a comfort break, and I'll come back at 10 of 12. And like I said, whatever we don't finish before 12:15, we'll pick up after lunch. Okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Who's talking?
Sharp.
Yes, Mr. Sharp.
On behalf of Mr. Stillwell. We've been operating pre-trial with the Harvey rule. I want to make sure that the record is clear that we join Mr. Steele in his motion for mistrial. And if Your Honor...
I'll apply the Harvey rule unless you tell me otherwise. Okay?
And that will apply throughout trial?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Unless you tell me otherwise. Okay? All right.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to be in recess about 10 minutes, all right?
Your Honor, what I'm going to do before stating is I'm going to actually do a search for the first 4 letters of Mr. Steele's name and make sure that I didn't need anything else in there. So before I do that, I'm going to send that. I'll make that search.